I came back from my visa run to find the tattoo studio gutted, our apartment abandoned, and $380,000 gone. The woman I'd called my soulmate had vanished overnight, taking every cent I'd saved in 35 years of crawling through attics and fixing air conditioners in Denver heat. Standing in that hollow studio on Beach Road, surrounded by paint cans and empty equipment boxes, I finally understood what a fool I'd been. The matching tattoo on my chest, a lotus flower with her initials hidden in the petals, suddenly felt like a brand marking me as prey. I was 67 years old. My wife had died 3 years earlier. I'd sold my business, liquidated my retirement accounts, and flown halfway around the world chasing one more chance at love. Instead, I got the most expensive education of my life. Some people don't see you. They see your bank account walking around in an aging body. But 10 months earlier, sitting in a tattoo chair in Pattaya while a beautiful young artist held my hand and listened to my grief, I had no idea any of this was coming. 10 months earlier, I thought fate had finally stopped punishing me. If you've been enjoying the stories I create, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Your support is crucial for the growth of this channel and helps me dedicate time to making these videos despite my commitment to a full-time job. Thank you for being here. My name is Edward Marshall, though everyone calls me Ed. I turned 67 on March 9th, 2023. I celebrated alone in my house in Littleton, Colorado, microwaving leftover meatloaf and looking at photos of Margaret. Margaret was my wife for 41 years. She died on January 15th, 2020, after an 18-month battle with pancreatic cancer. I was with her at the end, holding her hand in our bedroom, while hospice nurses moved quietly in the hallway. Her last words were, "Don't be alone too long, Eddie. Promise me you'll find someone to make you smile again." I promised, but I didn't keep it. For 3 years after she died, I lived in that house like a ghost haunting his own life. I'd wake up reaching for her. I'd cook dinner for 2 out of habit, then stare at the empty chair across from me. Every room held memories: the kitchen where we danced on our anniversary, the bedroom where she'd taken her last breath, the garage where I'd stored all her things because I couldn't bear to donate them yet. I'd run Marshall HVAC for 35 years. Started it when I was 32 with a used van, some tools, and a willingness to work harder than anyone else. By the time I sold it in 2022, I had 6 employees, a reputation for honest work, and enough money to retire comfortably. The sale brought me $270,000 after taxes. Combined with our savings, retirement accounts, and the equity in our house, Margaret and I had built up about $450,000. It wasn't wealthy by any means, but it was enough to live on if I was careful. My daughter Sarah lived in Portland with her husband and 2 kids. My son Michael was in the army, stationed in Germany. They called regularly after Margaret died, checking on me, telling me to eat better, to get out more, to see a grief counselor. I told them I was fine. We all knew I was lying. The house felt bigger every day, emptier. I'd walk through rooms just to hear my footsteps. I'd leave the TV on all night for the sound of voices. I stopped maintaining the yard, stopped fixing things when they broke. What was the point? By early 2023, I knew I couldn't stay there anymore. Every corner of that house was Margaret. Her coffee mug still sat in the cabinet. Her reading glasses were still on the nightstand. Her coat still hung by the door. Living there was like living in a shrine to everything I'd lost. I started watching YouTube videos about retiring abroad. The algorithm kept pushing Thailand content at me, expats talking about the affordable lifestyle, the warm weather, the friendly people, beautiful beaches, cheap food, modern apartments for a fraction of what I paid in rent back home, and something else. A lot of these older guys had younger Thai girlfriends. I know how that sounds. I know what people think about men like that. But after 3 years of crushing loneliness, after sleeping alone in a bed that used to hold 2 people, the idea of companionship, even if it came with complications, started to seem less pathetic and more like survival. I wasn't looking to replace Margaret. Nobody could replace her. But I was 67 years old, and the thought of spending the next decade alone in that house, waiting to die, felt unbearable. In April 2023, I listed the house. It sold in 3 weeks for $395,000. After the mortgage payoff and fees, I cleared $218,000. My total liquid assets, $468,000. Sarah was upset when I told her I was moving to Thailand. "Dad, you don't know anyone there. You don't speak the language. What if something happens to you? Then something happens, I said. Your mom made me promise I wouldn't be alone forever. I can't keep that promise here. Everything here just reminds me she's gone. So move to Portland. Be near us. The kids would love to see you more. But I didn't want to be the sad grandpa who showed up for Sunday dinners and holidays, everyone tiptoeing around my grief. I didn't want to be a burden. I wanted to feel alive again, even if just for a little while. I need to do this, I told her. Your mom would understand. I wasn't sure that was true, but I said it anyway. I sold or donated most of my possessions. Furniture, tools, Margaret's clothes that I'd finally forced myself to go through. I kept some photos, important documents, and Margaret's wedding ring on a chain around my neck. Everything else could be replaced or didn't matter. On May 21st, 2023, I locked the door to my empty house for the last time and took an Uber to Denver International Airport. 2 suitcases, one-way ticket to Bangkok, $468,000 in various bank accounts. I was terrified. I was excited. I was running away from everything I'd lost, hoping I could find something worth having on the other side of the world. The plane lifted off, and Colorado disappeared beneath the clouds. I touched the wedding ring hanging against my chest and whispered, "I'm sorry, Maggie, but I can't do this anymore." The heat in Bangkok was suffocating. 93 degrees at 11 at night with humidity so thick it felt like breathing through a wet towel. After Colorado's dry climate, it was shocking, but also somehow cleansing, like the heat could burn away the grief I'd been carrying. I'd booked a hotel in Pattaya based on YouTube recommendations. The taxi from the airport cost 1,800 baht, about $54, and took nearly 2 hours through late-night traffic. We finally exited the highway onto Beach Road, and suddenly I was surrounded by neon lights, 7-Eleven stores on every corner, bars with girls standing outside in short dresses, motorcycles weaving through traffic. It was overwhelming, chaotic, nothing like the quiet suburban life I'd known in Colorado, and part of me loved it immediately. My hotel was called the Seaside Palace, a mid-range place on 2nd Road. The lobby was cool and modern, all white marble and chrome. A young Thai man at the desk checked me in with a smile that seemed genuine, calling me sir and asking about my flight. In America, that would have felt like performance. Here, it felt different, warmer. My room was on the 12th floor with a balcony overlooking the city. I stood out there in the humid night, watching the lights of Pattaya spread out below me, and felt something I hadn't felt since Margaret died. Possibility. I spent my first week just exploring. Walking Beach Road at sunrise when street vendors were setting up breakfast carts, discovering the side streets Swa where local life happened away from the tourist zones. I found a small cafe near my hotel where an old Thai woman made the best iced coffee I'd ever tasted for 40 baht, just over $1. Everything was cheap in a way that felt surreal. A full meal at a decent restaurant cost 150 to 200 baht, less than $6. Beer was cheaper than water. My hotel room, which would have been $200 a night in Colorado, was $45. I did the math. If I rented an apartment for $600 a month, spent another $600 on food and entertainment, I could live comfortably on $14,400 a year. My $468,000 could last me 32 years. I'd be 99. But the loneliness followed me from Colorado. I'd sit in restaurants watching couples, old foreign men with young Thai women, mostly, and feel that familiar ache. I'd wake up in my hotel room reaching for Margaret, remembering for a painful moment that she was gone. The YouTube videos had made it seem like companionship would just happen here, like Thai women would be drawn to Western men naturally, without effort, but I felt just as invisible in Pattaya as I had in Littleton. Maybe more so, because here I was surrounded by younger, more confident men who seemed to know exactly how this place worked. I started looking for apartments in my second week. I found a nice one-bedroom place in a building on Soi Buakhao, modern, furnished, with a pool and gym, 12,000 baht a month, about $360. I paid 3 months up front and moved in. Having my own place helped. I could cook when I wanted, establish routines, create some sense of normalcy. But the apartment was still just a nicer cage. I'd sit on my balcony in the evenings, drinking beer and watching the city below, wondering what the hell I was doing here. Margaret's ring hung against my chest, a constant weight. Some nights I'd hold it and talk to her, telling her about my day, apologizing for leaving Colorado, asking her if she thought I was doing the right thing. She never answered, of course, but I kept talking anyway. I decided to get a tattoo in my 3rd week in Pattaya. I'd never had one before, Margaret hadn't liked them, and I'd never felt strongly enough to get one anyway. But now, at 67, living in a foreign country, trying to become someone new, it felt right. I wanted something to honor Margaret, a reminder that she'd been real, that our life together had mattered, that I was carrying her memory with me even as I tried to move forward. I walked down Beach Road in the late afternoon, past bars already filling with customers, past massage shops with girls calling out prices, until I found a small tattoo studio tucked between a pharmacy and a tailor shop. It looked clean through the window, white walls, proper equipment, certificates on the wall. A bell chimed when I opened the door. The studio was cool and quiet, air conditioning humming, instrumental music playing softly. A young Thai woman looked up from behind the counter. She was small, maybe 5'3", with long black hair streaked with purple. Her arms were covered in colorful tattoos, flowers, animals, geometric patterns. She smiled when she saw me. Not the aggressive, salesy smile I'd seen from bar girls, but something gentler, curious. "Hello," she said. "You want tattoo?" "Yeah," I said. "I think so. Is that okay? I'm kind of old for this." She laughed softly. "No such thing as too old. Tattoo for everyone. You know what you want? Something for my wife. She died a few years ago. I want to remember her." Her smile faded into something more serious, sympathetic. "I'm sorry. That very sad. You want her name? Portrait?" "No, I don't know exactly. Something beautiful. Something that represents her. She loved flowers, especially roses." "Okay, I can draw something. You sit, we talk. I design for you." She led me to a chair near the window. She introduced herself as Kanlaya, but everyone called her Ink. She was 22 years old, from Bangkok originally, but she'd been working in Pattaya for 2 years. She loved tattooing, she said. It was art that people carried with them forever. "You artist?" I asked. "I try to be. Someday I want my own studio. Real studio, nice equipment, maybe with coffee shop attached. Place where people feel comfortable, not scared." We talked for over an hour. She asked about Margaret, what she looked like, what she loved, how she made me feel. I found myself telling this young stranger things I hadn't told anyone. The guilt I felt for being alive when she wasn't. The loneliness that followed me everywhere. The fear that I'd die without ever feeling whole again. Ink listened with complete attention, nodding, asking gentle questions. When I finished, she pulled out a sketch pad and started drawing. Her hand moved quickly, confidently, creating something beautiful from nothing. 20 minutes later, she showed me the design. A rose in full bloom, intricate and detailed, with thorns running down the stem. Inside the petals, she'd hidden the letters M and E, Margaret and Edward, so subtly you'd only see them if you knew to look. "It's perfect," I said, my voice catching. "It's exactly right. Where you want it." "Here," I said, touching my chest over my heart, close to her ring. She nodded. "That good place. Hurt little bit, but good place." The tattoo took 3 hours. She worked carefully, stopping frequently to let me rest, talking to me the whole time. She told me about growing up in Bangkok, about moving to Pattaya to make money, about her dreams of having her own business someday. "Why Pattaya?" I asked. "If you don't like it here, money better here. Tourists pay more. I save money, then go back Bangkok, open real studio." "How much more do you need to save?" She laughed. "Too much. Maybe 5 more years. But I keep trying." When she finished the tattoo, she bandaged it carefully and gave me instructions for care. The rose looked beautiful, delicate, but strong, just like Margaret had been. I stared at it in the mirror, feeling something shift in my chest. "Thank you," I said. "This means more than you know. I'm glad I could help. Your wife sound like special woman. You lucky to have love like that." I agreed. I really was, as I paid 6,000 baht, about $180, which seemed incredibly cheap for such detailed work. Ink touched my arm gently. "You seem like good man," she said. "Kind heart. Don't be sad too long, okay? Your wife want you be happy." "That's what she told me," I said, "right before she died. Then you should listen. She know what she talking about." I left the studio feeling lighter than I had in months. The tattoo ached, but it was a good ache. A reminder that I was still alive, still here, still capable of feeling something other than grief. I went back to the tattoo studio 3 days later to check on the healing. Ink examined it carefully, pleased with how it looked. We talked for another hour, sitting in the studio between customers. She made me coffee from a small machine in the back, terrible coffee, but I drank it anyway because she'd made it for me. "You live here now?" she asked. "In Pattaya? For now. Trying to figure out what life looks like without my wife. That hard thing. But you here, that brave. I don't feel brave. I feel lost." She smiled. "Sometimes lost and brave, same thing. You here looking for something. That brave." I started visiting the studio regularly, always when it wasn't busy, late afternoon or early evening. Ink would make me terrible coffee, and we'd talk. She'd show me designs she was working on, ask my opinion on colors and placement. I'd tell her about Colorado, about fixing air conditioners, about the life I'd left behind. It felt natural, easy, like friendship without pressure or expectation. She never asked me for anything, never hinted that she wanted money or gifts. She just seemed to enjoy talking to me, and I desperately needed someone to talk to. After 2 weeks of these visits, she suggested we get dinner together after she closed the studio. "I know good Thai restaurant," she said. "Real Thai food, not tourist food. I show you." We went to a place off Swai Buakau, a small family-run restaurant with plastic tables and chairs. Ink ordered for both of us papaya salad, grilled fish, tom yum soup, sticky rice. The food was incredible, spicy and complex, and nothing like the Thai food I'd had back in Denver. "This is amazing," I said. "This real Thailand," she said, smiling. "Not beach road, not bars. This where Thai people actually eat." We talked for 3 hours. She told me more about her dreams, the coffee shop attached to the tattoo studio, the kind of art she wanted to create, the life she imagined. I told her about Margaret, about the business I'd built, about my kids who barely called anymore. "They don't understand," Ink said. "Young people think old people's supposed to just wait to die, but you still alive. You deserve life." "You're 22, I said. "You're young people. I'm old in my head," she said, laughing. "I see too much already. Pattaya make you grow up fast." When we finally left the restaurant, well after midnight, she didn't go back to her apartment. She came home with me, not for any reason, except that we were both lonely and neither of us wanted the night to end. We sat on my balcony drinking beer and watching the city lights until dawn, and when the sun started to rise, she fell asleep with her head on my shoulder. I stayed awake, listening to her breathe, feeling the weight of another person against me for the first time in 3 years. I touched Margaret's ring through my shirt and whispered, "I'm sorry, but I'm so tired of being alone." Ink and I became inseparable after that night. She'd finish work at the tattoo studio around 6 or 7, and we'd meet for dinner. We'd walk Beach Road holding hands, sitting on the wall overlooking the ocean, talking about everything and nothing. She'd sleep at my apartment most nights, curled against me in my bed, and for the first time since Margaret died, I'd wake up feeling like maybe life was worth living. I know what it looked like from the outside. 67-year-old man with a 22-year-old Thai woman. Everyone assumes they know that story. Sugar daddy, prostitute, transaction disguised as relationship. But it didn't feel like that. Ink never asked me for money, never hinted that she expected anything. When I tried to pay for dinner, she'd fight me for the bill. When I offered her money for her time, she looked hurt. "I not with you for money," she said. "I with you because you good person. You understand me? You listen. I'm old enough to be your grandfather," I pointed out. "Age, just number. Heart what matters. You have good heart, Ed. I feel it." She made me feel young. Not physically, I was still 67 with arthritis and high blood pressure, but mentally, emotionally. She made me laugh. She made me want to get out of bed in the morning. She made me believe that maybe my life wasn't over just because Margaret's was. We took trips together. We went to Koh Larn, swimming in clear blue water and eating fresh seafood on the beach. We visited the Sanctuary of Truth, a massive wooden temple on the coast. We drove up to Bangkok for a weekend, staying in a cheap hostel and exploring the city like backpackers. She took photos constantly, posting them to Instagram and Facebook. "My Farang boyfriend," she'd caption them with a heart emoji. I looked ridiculous in most of them sunburned, too old for the trendy clothes she convinced me to buy, clearly out of place. But I was smiling in every single one. Real smiles. The first real smiles since Margaret died. After 2 months together, she brought up the business dream again. We were sitting at a coffee shop near my apartment, and she pulled out her phone to show me photos she'd saved. "Look," she said, scrolling through images. "This what I want. Small studio, maybe 6 chairs. Coffee counter in front. Comfortable place. Good vibe." "It looks amazing," I said. "You'd be great at running something like that." "Someday," she said wistfully. "When I have money." "How much would something like that cost to start?" She shrugged. "Lot of money. Maybe 1 million baht for equipment, another million for renovation, furniture, maybe 500,000 for permits, business license, deposit on space. Too much. I never save that much. 2.5 million baht, about $75,000. A lot of money, but not impossible. Not if someone believed in her dream." "What if we did it together?" I said. She looked at me, confused. "What you mean?" "What if I invested? We could be partners. You'd run the business, do the creative work. I'd handle the financial side, help with management. We'd build it together." Her eyes went wide. "Ed, you serious?" "Why not? You're talented. You have a clear vision. And I have money just sitting in a bank account doing nothing. We could build something beautiful together." She started crying. Right there in the coffee shop, tears streaming down her face. "Nobody ever believe in me like this. Nobody ever want help me." "I believe in you," I said, taking her hand. "And I want to help." That night, lying in bed, she told me I was changing her life, that I was the best thing that ever happened to her, that she'd never met anyone as kind and generous as me. "I love you, Ed," she whispered into the darkness. "I know that sound crazy. I know we not together long time, but I love you." I hadn't said those words to anyone since Margaret died. Part of me felt like saying them would be a betrayal, but another part of me, the part that was tired of grief and loneliness, wanted desperately to believe in this. "I love you too," I said. She kissed me, and I felt something break open in my chest, something that had been locked tight for 3 years. It hurt and felt good at the same time. We started looking for spaces the next week. Inc. had specific requirements: ground floor, high foot traffic, near Beach Road but not too touristy. Enough room for 6 tattoo stations and a small coffee bar. We looked at a dozen places over 2 weeks. Finally, we found one on Swai Post Office, a side street near the beach. It was raw space, just empty walls and concrete floors. But Inc. could see the potential immediately. "This perfect," she said, walking through the space with her hands out like she was feeling its energy. "Perfect size, perfect location. This, the one, Ed." The lease was 40,000 baht per month, about $1,200. The owner wanted 6 months up front, plus 2 months deposit, 320,000 baht total, about $9,600. I paid it the next day. Inc. cried again. "You really do this? You really help me?" "We're partners," I said. "This is our dream now." We spent the next month planning every detail. Inc. designed the layout where each tattoo station would go, how the coffee counter would look, the color scheme, the furniture style. She showed me mood boards on Pinterest, samples of wallpaper and tiles, sketches of the logo she wanted. Her enthusiasm was infectious. I found myself excited in a way I hadn't been in years. This was real. This was building something that mattered. This was our future together. The renovation costs mounted quickly. The contractor quoted us 800,000 baht, about $24,000 for everything. Then there were permits and licenses, business registration, health department inspections, fire safety certifications. Each one came with fees and facilitation payments that were clearly bribes but apparently normal in Thailand. Inc. introduced me to her uncle, a man named Somchai, who supposedly handled business matters for the family. He was maybe 50, well-dressed, spoke decent English. He helped us navigate the bureaucracy, filing paperwork, talking to officials, making sure everything was done correctly. "Thai business very complicated," he explained. "Need Thai person handle many things. But don't worry, I make sure everything legal, everything proper." I paid him 20,000 baht, $600 for his services. He assured me everything would be handled quickly and professionally. The renovation started in October 2023. Every day, Inc. and I would visit the space, watching it transform from empty concrete into something beautiful. She picked out every detail personally: the chairs, the lighting, the art on the walls, the coffee machine. "This is ours," she'd say, squeezing my hand. "Our place, our business, our future." I'd transferred about $90,000 by this point. But I didn't care. This was an investment. In the business, yes, but also in us, in our relationship, in proof that I could still build something meaningful. Ink moved into my apartment officially in November. She brought her few belongings, some clothes, art supplies, a small Buddha statue. She arranged everything carefully, making the space feel like it belonged to both of us rather than just me. Our home, she said, kissing me. Our place. We fell into domestic routines. She'd cook breakfast while I read the news. We'd go to the construction site together every day to check progress. We'd come home exhausted and happy, making dinner together, watching movies on my laptop. She introduced me to her friends, other girls who worked in tattoo shops or bars, all with foreign boyfriends. We'd go out in groups, drinking at beach bars, eating at street food stalls. I felt welcomed, accepted, part of something. One night, sitting with these people who'd become our social circle, one of the guys pulled me aside. His name was Frank, Australian, maybe 60 years old, living in Pattaya for 8 years. "Mate," he said quietly, "be careful with the business thing." "What do you mean?" I've seen this before. Young Thai girl, big business plans, foreign guy footing the bill. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Just make sure everything's in writing. Make sure you have legal protection." "It's fine," I said. "We're partners. We're building this together." He nodded slowly. "Yeah, just be careful, mate. That's all I'm saying." I appreciated his concern, but I knew he was wrong about Ink. She wasn't like the other girls. We had something real, something special, love and partnership and shared dreams. I was so sure of it. The studio opened in January 2024. We called it Ink and Rose Tattoo Coffee, combining her nickname with the rose tattoo she'd given me. The logo was beautiful. The space looked amazing. And for the opening day, Ink invited everyone she knew. The place was packed. Thai friends, expats, tourists who wandered in from the street. Ink was radiant, tattooing a simple design on a friend for free while I worked the coffee counter, making drinks from the expensive machine we'd bought. That first day felt like everything I'd hoped for. We'd built something together. We were a team. This was our future, solid and real. But problems started almost immediately. The business license got held up. Somchai said there were issues with the paperwork, that we needed to pay additional fees. Another 30,000 baht, $900. I paid it. Then the landlord claimed there were damages from the renovation that needed to be fixed before he'd release some deposit we'd paid. Another 20,000 baht, $600. I paid that too. Ink needed more equipment, better tattoo machines, more ink colors, sterilization equipment. The health inspector suddenly required 70,000 baht, $2,100. Every week brought new expenses. The coffee machine broke and needed repairs. The air conditioning wasn't strong enough. We needed better furniture because clients complained the chairs were uncomfortable. Marketing costs, website development, social media promotion. I'd transferred about $140,000 total by February. The studio was open, yes, but we weren't making money yet. Ink said it took time to build a client base, to develop a reputation. She said we needed to be patient, to invest more, to grow faster. "Trust me," she'd say when I expressed concern. "This business take time, but we doing it right. We building something that last." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so badly, but she was always on her phone now, always texting someone, her face serious. When I asked who she was talking to, she'd say suppliers, or friends, or Somchai about business matters. She'd show me the Thai messages I couldn't read, and I'd nod like I understood. Money kept disappearing. I'd transferred another $60,000 by March. Ink said we needed to expand, add more services, hire another artist, maybe open a second location eventually. Each plan required more investment, more trust, more money. "This how business work," she'd say when I questioned the spending. "Need money, make money. You know this, Ed. You own business before." She was right, in a way. Building my HVAC company had required constant reinvestment. You had to spend money on equipment, on marketing, on hiring good people. But I'd also seen the returns. I'd tracked every dollar and knew exactly where it went. Here, everything was fuzzy. Somchai handled the paperwork. Ink handled the day-to-day operations. I just signed checks and wire transfer authorizations, trusting that everything was legitimate. Our relationship changed too. Ink was always tired, always stressed about the business. She'd snap at me over small things, leaving dishes in the sink, asking too many questions about expenses, suggesting we slow down on expansion plans. "You don't trust me," she'd say, her eyes filling with tears. "I work so hard, give everything to this business, to us, and you just complain about money." "I'm not complaining," I'd say quickly. "I'm just trying to understand. You want control everything, just like every old farang. Think because you have money, you know everything." And I'd apologize. I'd back down. I'd transfer more money to prove I trusted her, to prove I wasn't like those other foreign men who treated their Thai partners like employees. By April 2024, I'd transferred $320,000. The studio was operating, yes, but barely making enough to cover monthly expenses. We weren't seeing profit. We weren't seeing growth. We were just hemorrhaging money. I called my daughter, Sarah. I hadn't spoken to her in months. "Dad?" She sounded surprised. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. How are you? How are the kids?" "They're good. Growing fast. They ask about you sometimes." "That's nice." I paused. "Sarah, I need to ask you something. If I needed help, if something went wrong, could I?" "What's wrong, Dad? What happened?" "Nothing. Nothing yet. I'm thinking about the future, about backup plans." "Did you get scammed?" "Oh God, Dad, did some woman take your money?" "No," I said too quickly. "No, nothing like that. I'm just being cautious." But she heard the lie in my voice. "Dad, please tell me you didn't spend all your money on some Thai girlfriend." "She's not just some girlfriend. We have a business together. We're partners." "Jesus, Dad." She sounded exhausted, disappointed. "How much did you give her?" "It's an investment. We're building something." "How much?" I didn't answer. "Dad, if you need to come home, I'll help you. But you have to be honest with me. How bad is it?" "It's not bad," I said. "Everything's fine. I was just checking in." I hung up before she could press further. That night, lying next to Ink while she slept, I opened my banking app and looked at the numbers. I'd started with $468,000. Now I had $112,000 left. I'd spent $356,000 in 10 months. On a business that wasn't making money. On a relationship that felt more stressful every day. On a dream that was starting to feel like a nightmare. But I'd invested too much to walk away now. The business just needed more time. Ink just needed more support. We just needed to push through this difficult phase. I transferred another $24,000 the next week for emergency equipment upgrades. My visa was expiring in May. I'd been in Thailand almost exactly a year on a tourist visa with extensions. Now I needed to do what expats called a visa run, leave the country briefly, and return with a fresh visa stamp. Ink suggested I go to Cambodia. It was close, cheap, easy. Just cross the border, stay overnight, come back. She couldn't come with me, she needed to mind the shop, she said, but I'd only be gone 2 days. I didn't want to leave. Something felt wrong. Ink had been distant for weeks, always stressed, always on her phone. The business was consuming money faster than ever, and now she wanted me to leave the country? "Why you so worried?" she asked when I hesitated. "I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here when you come back. We partners, remember? I love you." "I love you too," I said. I booked a bus to the Cambodian border for May 15th, 2024. The trip would take 6 hours each way. I'd cross the border, stay in a cheap hotel in Phuket, and return the next day with a fresh visa. The morning I left, Ink kissed me goodbye at the bus station. "I miss you already," she said. "Come back quick, okay?" 2 days, I said. That's it. The bus ride was long and uncomfortable. The border crossing was chaotic touts and scammers and corrupt officials demanding fees for services I didn't need. I finally made it across, got my visa stamp, and checked into a depressing hotel that smelled like mold. I tried calling Ink that night. Her phone went straight to voicemail. I texted her, no response. I told myself the signal was bad at the border, that she was busy at the shop, that everything was fine. But I barely slept. I lay awake in that terrible hotel room, touching Margaret's ring through my shirt, wondering what the hell I was doing with my life. The next morning, I went through the border crossing again, dealing with the same chaos and corruption. The bus back to Pattaya left at noon. I sat in the back, watching the Thai countryside roll past, feeling a growing sense of dread I couldn't explain. I called Ink again. Voicemail, texted, no response. When I finally got back to Pattaya at 6 in the evening, I went straight to the shop. The front was dark, the door was locked. A paper sign was taped to the glass. Closed for renovation. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my keys. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. The shop was empty. Not closed for the day, empty. Gutted empty. The tattoo stations were gone. The coffee machine was gone. The furniture, the artwork, the supplies, everything was gone. Just bare walls and concrete floors and the faint smell of disinfectant. I stood in the middle of the empty space, my heart pounding, trying to understand what I was seeing. I ran to my apartment. The door was locked. I fumbled with my keys, finally got it open, burst inside. Also empty. The furniture was gone. The TV, the kitchen supplies, Ink's clothes, her art supplies, her Buddha statue, everything. Even my suitcases with my clothes were gone. The apartment had been cleaned out completely. I was standing in an empty shell. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and opened my banking app. My Thai account, $18. My American account, $412. Everything else was gone. $380,000. Vanished. I fell to my knees in the empty apartment and screamed. I called the police from the empty apartment, but I could barely form coherent sentences. They arrived 40 minutes later, 2 officers who looked bored before I even started explaining. They walked through the apartment, the empty shop, taking notes. They looked at my banking app when I showed them the transfers. They nodded sympathetically, but without surprise. "This common problem," one officer said in broken English. "Foreigner, give money, Thai girlfriend. Girlfriend disappear. Very difficult to find. Maybe she leave Pattaya. Maybe leave Thailand. But there are records," I said desperately. "Business licenses, lease agreements, her ID card, Uncle Sumchai who helped with paperwork. You can find them. We can try. You make report, but probably difficult to recover money. She, your girlfriend, yes? Not crime, if girlfriend take money. Civil matter. She didn't take it. She stole it. We were business partners. Business in her name?" I couldn't answer. Because yes, everything was in her name. The lease, the business license, the bank account we'd opened for the shop. I'd signed checks and transfer authorizations. But legally, everything belonged to her. I'd given her $380,000 and gotten nothing in return except receipts I couldn't read and promises that evaporated like steam. The officers took my statement. They promised to investigate. I never heard from them again. I tried to find Sumchai. The phone number he'd given me was disconnected. The address didn't exist. He'd been part of the scam from the beginning, I realized. Probably Ink's real boyfriend or brother or partner in crime. The business papers he'd filed were probably fake or worthless. I called Ink's number hundreds of times. Always voicemail. I sent texts begging her to explain, to at least tell me why, to give me some closure. Nothing. I contacted her friends, the girls she'd introduced me to, the ones I'd thought were our social circle. None of them responded to my messages. When I went to the bars and shops where they worked, they claimed not to know me or her. One girl looked at me with pity and said, "Myru, I don't know," then turned away. They'd all been in on it. Or at least they'd all known what Ink was doing and said nothing. I'd been the stupid old Farang everyone could see coming from miles away except me. Frank, the Australian who'd warned me, found me at a bar 3 days after I got back. I was drunk, my 4th or 5th day of being drunk continuously. "I heard what happened, mate," he said, sitting next to me. "I'm sorry. I should have pushed harder when I tried to warn you." "You did warn me," I said. "I didn't listen. I thought I was different. I thought she loved me. They're very good at making you think that. The best ones are artists. They make you believe every word." $380,000, I said. 35 years of work. Gone. And I still don't know if anything she said was real. "Probably wasn't," Frank said gently. "Probably was all performance from day one. The shop lease was still in Ink's name, but she'd stopped paying after emptying it. The landlord contacted me demanding back rent. I explained I didn't live there, didn't own it, couldn't pay. He threatened to sue me anyway. My apartment lease was paid through June, but then I'd need to move. I couldn't afford 12,000 baht a month anymore. I couldn't afford anything anymore. I had $812 to my name. That's what remained of 40 years of hard work, careful saving, and building a business. $812 and a tattoo on my chest that now felt like a brand marking me as prey. Sarah called. I'd finally told her everything in a rambling, drunken email. She wired me $2,000 and begged me to come home. "There's nothing to come home to," I said. "No house, no business, no money. I can't even afford a plane ticket after this month's rent." "Then I'll buy you a ticket." "Dad, you can't stay there. You have nothing left." "I know," I said. "Believe me, I know." But I couldn't face going back. Couldn't face landing in Denver, having Sarah pick me up from the airport, moving into her guest room at 67 years old with nothing to my name. Couldn't face Kyle's judgment, or my ex-wife's pity, or being the cautionary tale everyone whispered about. So I stayed. I moved into a guest house in Jomtien owned by an expat named Graham, who I'd met through Frank. He gave me a small room with a mattress on the floor for 5,000 baht a month, about $150. I'd paid with Sarah's money. I tried to find work, but who hires a 67-year-old foreigner with no work permit? I did odd jobs when I could, fixing air conditioners for other expats, helping with construction projects, anything that paid cash. I made maybe 5,000 to 10,000 baht a month, $150 to $300, barely enough to survive. My Social Security wouldn't start paying until I was 68. I had 8 more months until then. If I could just survive 8 more months, I'd have income. Not much, about $1,300 a month, but enough to rent a room and eat. 8 months felt like forever. I'm writing this from Graham's guest house. I've been here 5 months now. The room is about 10 feet by 10 feet, a mattress on the floor, a small fan, a window that overlooks an alley. The bathroom is shared with 3 other tenants. My possessions fit in a single backpack. I'm 68 now. My birthday passed in March without celebration. I fixed a broken air conditioner that day and used the money to buy rice and eggs for the week. The tattoo on my chest has faded slightly. The color's not as vibrant as when Ink first gave it to me. I look at it sometimes and try to remember if anything between us was real. The conversations at the tattoo studio, the nights on my balcony, the way she looked at me and said she loved me. I want to believe some of it was real, that maybe she did care about me, at least a little, even if the caring wasn't enough to stop her from taking everything. But I know the truth. I was never Ed to her. I was never her boyfriend or her partner. I was a mark, a retirement account that walked, talked, and believed every lie she told. She played the role perfectly. The shy artist who just wanted someone to believe in her, the young woman who fell in love with the kind old man despite their age difference, the partner who shared dreams of building something beautiful together. And I believed it all because I was lonely and heartbroken, and desperate to feel something other than grief, because I wanted to believe that love could happen twice, that life could have a second act, that Margaret's death wasn't the end of every good thing. The police never found Ink. Frank heard from someone who heard from someone that she'd gone to Bangkok, then maybe to Europe with a German man who'd bought her a house. Maybe it's true. Maybe she's living well on my money and someone else's money and the money of whoever comes next. I hope she is, in a strange way. Better that the money went to her building a good life than just disappearing into nothing. My kids call occasionally. Sarah sends money every month, $500. She can't really afford to spare. I've stopped refusing it. Pride is a luxury I can't afford anymore. Kyle called once after Sarah told him what happened. He said he was sorry. He didn't say, "I told you so," but I heard it anyway in the silence. I don't blame Thailand. This country didn't do this to me. Ink didn't even do it entirely. I participated in my own destruction. I ignored warning signs. I chose to believe fantasy over reality because reality was too painful to face. That's the real lesson. Not that Thailand is dangerous, or that age gap relationships always fail, or that all Thai women are scammers. The lesson is simpler. Grief makes you vulnerable, and some people can smell vulnerability like blood in the water. I was vulnerable. Ink smelled it. She played the role I needed her to play: artist, partner, lover, believer in shared dreams, until there was nothing left to take. I didn't just lose my money. I lost the last part of myself that believed in love. I lost the hope that life could be good again after loss. I lost the story I thought my life would end with: redemption, second chances, happiness found in unexpected places. Instead, I'm a 68-year-old man living in a 10 by 10 room, surviving on odd jobs and my daughter's charity, waiting for Social Security to start so I can afford slightly better poverty. Margaret's ring still hangs around my neck. Sometimes I hold it and apologize to her for leaving Colorado, for dishonoring our 41 years together by falling for someone else so quickly, for wasting everything we'd built on a fantasy. Other times I hold it and thank her, because at least I felt something for those 10 months. At least I felt alive, even if it was a lie. At least I experienced hope and excitement and the possibility of love one more time before reality crushed it. I don't know which feeling is true. Maybe both are. My Social Security starts in 3 months. $1,300 a month. I'll be able to afford better housing, better food. Maybe I'll move to a quieter part of Thailand, somewhere cheaper and less full of people like ink hunting people like me. Or maybe I'll finally go home, face the embarrassment, move into Sarah's guest room, accept that I'm old and broken and the adventure is over. I haven't decided yet. Some days I think leaving would be admitting defeat. Other days I think staying is the real defeat, clinging to a place that destroyed me because I'm too proud to admit I was wrong about everything. Either way, the sun is setting over Jomtien. The guest house is quiet. In a few hours, I'll lie down on my mattress on the floor and try to sleep, despite the heat and the sounds from the alley. And tomorrow, I'll wake up and survive another day. Because that's all there is left to do. Survive. That's my story. I hope yours ends better than mine.